like the shades.
Yeah, appreciate it. Custom Giants, you know.
What do you tell your edge rushers about Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, you know, he's a special player because he can hurt you in so many different ways, and he plays at such an elite level that really it comes down to one play to the next to the next. Can you keep that consistent effort to the ball? Can you keep attacking the football wherever it may be? And that's important for all those guys.
Are the rules different, if that makes sense? Like about where to go, where getting beat, when he takes off, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's really discipline rush lanes, understanding he's got elite speed that's hard to replicate. There's a reason he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league throwing the ball and one of the best ball carriers when the ball's in his hand across the line of scrimmage. So in all those areas, you gotta have great rules, and you understand, hey, this guy's beaten a lot of rules before too, so you got to rally to the football.
You mentioned discipline rush lane. Is that more of a premium against a quarterback like this than maybe more so?
For sure, and you understand he's at an elite level because even with discipline rush lanes, he's going to make a play and he's going to be able to get out. So it's really about that constant effort to the football. We want to be relentless to the ball this week to deal with a guy that is going to be able to make plays.
I don't know if there's a way to ask this really without trying to criticize the officials, which is not what I'm trying to do. But is Kayvon Thibodeau being more disruptive than maybe the stats show because he is getting stopped from getting there?
With him and all those guys, the thing that's been great is the things that don't show up in the stat sheet show up on film, and he's just got such a great pursuit to the football. His get off and his stance has been outstanding, and he's playing great run defense. He took away a couple key throws in his coverage, made the quarterback go the other way. Really, in all those areas, he's affected the game, and that's something with all of our guys we understand in the outside backer room. You can affect the game a lot of different ways, and he's been doing that.
He's getting held quite a bit.
You said it.
How have you seen Kayvon he missed those first games or whatever, just grow from the time he started to now against the Packers?
That's the great thing. He attacks everything with a growth mindset, like we all do in this building, and it's what can he get better at from the last game to the next game, and that's that progress you see throughout the week, and it pays off on Sunday. So whether it's something with his stance or something with his hands or something, the little details are the things he really attacks every week, and that's why he keeps improving each week. And he's got a great maturity to him about preparing for a game. You're seeing that pay off.
What has that been this week with going from Aaron Rodgers to Lamar?
Yeah, it's two tremendous challenges. We were talking about it upstairs. It's like going from playing Steph Curry to LeBron James one week to the next, and it's guys that can hurt you in different ways, but you realize they're both at an elite level, and you better be on point because of what they can do.
Did you guys have Kayvon and others alerted to get their hands up on that play?
For sure.
Or is that him reading what Rodgers is doing a little bit both?
Yeah, that's something. Just knowing how teams are going to play the Giants moving forward is teams are going to need to get the ball out because we're affecting the quarterback, because Wink's calling plays that are going to get free runners. Understanding that ball's got to get out. So having that clock in your head, understand we're on our way to the quarterback, we got a hand up there, and we understand those plays, they don't show up the same on the stat sheet. We look at those like sacks because those are game-changing plays that affects the pass game and creates opportunities for us.
Told him to use his face too if he needed to.
Hey, by any means necessary. By any means necessary, we're gonna affect the quarterback.
Speaking of affecting the quarterback, have you addressed with your guys the roughing the passer rules and like anything you got to change or anything about these last week?
So these are things that we study and we drill, and like when you watch those plays, you understand. Okay, these refs aren't perfect, but you see where it falls under. Whether it's using your body weight, if it's throwing the quarterback. These are things that are taught and they're drilled, and we understand the refs aren't perfect, and we understand the guys making those plays aren't perfect, and they're going to fall in that gray area. And the most important thing for us, and it starts, Wink has incredible composure after a play like that. He's just, all right, next play. And that's the mindset of the team, is that if there's a penalty we don't agree with, nobody cares. Go play the next play, and let's make a play to make up for it.
You mentioned that composure yesterday and how he tries to bring to the sidelines. How have you noticed that affect your coaching staff or the rest of the assistants?
Yeah, I think what you've seen so far, and there's been different types of games we've been in this year, but in all those games, it's required that resiliency. It's required, hey, okay, they made a play, they went down the field, whatever it may be. It's about the next play. It's about what can we do the next play to stop them, and that starts with Coach Dable, and that starts with Wink, and it's those guys don't flinch, and all their focus is on what we can do next to make that play to win the game, and you've seen it pay off so far. The entire locker room at halftime is upbeat, positive, and focused on what we're doing next.
You've been with Wink for a while. Has he always been that composed? Is it something he had to work on, and what about for you? I mean, you obviously aspire to be, in that spot one day. Is it something that's natural to you?
So just learning from him, he's as cool as I've ever seen as a guy that from one play to the next, he's so driven by what he saw, what they're doing, and what he wants to stay one step ahead of it. So if he sees something from them, he's got a spot on his call sheet. You guys see it. It's, very detailed out to exactly what he wants. So he talked about it yesterday playing chess. He's thinking of 3 moves ahead when he's out there. So there's not as much time to get emotional about everything. It's just matter of fact business. This is what we're going to do next. And that has a ton of value. And I think the players see that. The rest of the coaches see that as a huge plus, because everything is about putting these players in the best position to succeed. It's not about him. He has no ego. It's about how can we set these players up to succeed. And that's what this thing's all about.
O'Shane Zimenez is a guy who was pretty much phased out by the previous coaching staff, and he's gotten a chance to. I think he's got 10 pressures according to PFF. So
right.
When you look at the film of what little he was on the field last year and what he's doing so well this year, where's the difference?
Yeah, I think that's what, when we were talking about that growth mindset, he attacked that the same way and understood, okay, there were some things he could do to improve his game, whether it was with his technique or just studying the game. There was a lot of areas that he attacked in this offseason, and really in training camp is where he saw that growth and built a lot of trust in Wink and our coaching staff, and just so happy for him because it's paying off in that production. But he works incredibly hard. He's so focused week to week, and we ask him to do a lot, and you give him a challenge, he's going to knock it out of the park, and that's been great to see. And for a guy like that does things the right way and has been so resilient over his time here, for that to pay off is huge.
How emotional of a week is this for you?
It really is, and it's funny, being there 12 years in Baltimore, it was such a great time. There's so many great people there, but you understand what we're building here and what we're doing here is bigger than any one game, and it's always about these players. So for us, the focus is on this unique challenge of this team. There's not enough time to worry about anything else. I think we'll all look forward to seeing people that we know there. And, you don't spend 12 years somewhere without knowing the whole building. So that part of it's cool to see those people, but it doesn't affect what goes on in the field. It's about the players, and we're just going to be there, supporting them.
No inter-staff trash talk?
There's not much communication with the team you're playing throughout the week, but it'll be great to see it's a really great group of people over there that, I'm appreciative of everything they did for me over the years, and, it'll be good to see some of those people.
You might have been asked about this before I got here, but the familiarity that you have then, how has that maybe influenced a little bit of your planning for this week, especially with Lamar?
Yeah, I think the going against them in practice, there's certainly familiarity, but just like our defense, that offense is always looking for the next thing and reinventing themselves. So it's not the same offense that we knew there, right? Things are always changing, just like things with our defense are always changing. So it's really about who they have, what those guys do well, because they do a good job of putting those guys in spots to succeed.
How have you seen them reinvent themselves the most since you've left?
It's just kind of how they use different personnel, who they have out there, whether it's the guys protecting, whether it's formations, whether it's, routes they run. I think it's always keeping it moving, and that's this league. That's what every team in this league's doing. And that'll be a good challenge for us.
Does Lamar have unusual stamina? Like, it almost feels like he plays better the longer the game goes.
Yeah, I think with Lamar, he's such a winner that he's so driven by, taking it to that next level in the fourth quarter. You've just seen so many games over the years where Lamar's play elevates as the game goes on. Can't say enough good things about him. He's such a special elite player, and it's just that drive and that winning. He showed up and all he did was win for a long time there. It's been, fun to watch.
Apologies for not being at the beginning.
No,
I'm
that's all right.
You've been asked already, but
No, go ahead.
is there something that you have to talk to your guys facing a guy like Lamar that you hammer home this week versus any other week.
Yeah, for sure. And it's, a lot of teams go in with a plan, that a disciplined rush, and have every gap accounted for and all those things. But it's understanding this guy's a special player, so it's more than that. It's about rallying to the football and all 11 hats to the ball. That's what we need this week, because he's a great player for a reason. He's going to make plays.
Anything stick out from those training camp battles? Any memorable moments or?
It was just how he took command so early and in his time there, and understanding that, he's always been, you go all the way back to his Pop Warner days, he's always been a special athlete and an elite athlete on the field, but he's just become such a good quarterback over time, throwing the ball. I mean, forget about running at all. He's just an elite level quarterback, and then the running goes with it, and he's a very, effective player in every facet of the game. But seeing him come in and just making such an impact on the organization, he was drafted in 2018. My son was born in 2018. I mean, one of the first words he could say was Lamar. He's got all the action figures and the bobbleheads and the jersey. I mean, it's been great to watch his growth as a quarterback, and I got to make sure my son's rooting for the Giants this week and find out.
You say Daniel?
Yeah.
Daves and the coaches really were on him from the very beginning, and he said he got the sense that someone told him a long time ago, if the coaches are on you, that means they have big expectations for you to come in here and fill them. How has he progressed? What's been the most important part of his development for you guys right now?
Yeah, I would just say number one is he comes in every day ready to work. There's no inconsistency with him. Sometimes you see that with young players where they're in, they're out. I mean, he's here every day. He's here early. He's here late. He wants to get better. And we're just seeing steady, progressive, incremental improvement. And so things that maybe gave him a hard time early in the spring, it's kind of like we check those off. Okay, we've mastered this. Now let's move on to this. And then being consistent is the important part.
Does it also speak, because he said as much as he's checking off boxes, he said that list is a long list for him. That he knows. So, but that kind of speaks to his potential and where you guys think he may be able to get to, right?
Yeah, and then when you do things, it's important to complement what you've done with him, and whether it's a run concept or a pass concept is important for us. I mean, we're an evolving offense, and he's a part of that. And so, that's the important part of the consistency, is that when you check that box and move on to something that's added, let's not leave that and have to come back to that and go, oh, I forgot I already checked that. You know what I mean?
Is it a statement about trust also, knowing that you guys were in that situation last week and you guys decided as a staff that you would trust a rookie tight end in that situation to get the ball and know to make the right decision in that spot?
I mean, those are plays that, generally speaking, NFL teams aren't putting in on a Friday and running on a Sunday. Those are things that you work on for weeks and weeks at a time, and you gain that trust, and then it's like game ready. And there might be something we do today that's not game ready, but it might be game ready in a month. And so he showed those incremental steps. So you go, this thing's ready to call.
He laughed. He said, he saw Tanner release a little bit and uncover. He said there was a little bit in his head and said, you know what, I think I can get it to him. But then made the right decision to go in.
I think, again, every time we ran the play in practice, he either threw it to Daniel or he ran it based on the look. Tanner actually had to step in for Chris, who was out at the time.
Okay,
so oddly enough, that was a moment where Tanner never had a rep.
Oh, wow.
And he was able to step in, and in a boutique play like that, and do a great job. And then he uncovered, and again, Belly made the right decision.
Has it been a help for you at all in studying Baltimore to have Wink and Drew Wilkins on the staff, and them knowing the defensive personnel that's going to come at you?
Yeah, there's been some positives to that. I mean, I've also had to face Baltimore the last couple of years, the last team I was with. So there's some carryover that way. There's some familiarity that way, but it's always good to get their insights. Plus, we got guys in the O-line room that played there, so that's always beneficial. Because you get some good tendencies, but it's the same things. Anywhere you go, there's some carryover. This is a very small pool of people, coaches and players, so you get a lot of that just about every week.
What have you seen from Evan Neal, progress-wise?
Yeah. Well, I see him maturing in his preparation process, just how he goes about his day-to-day business. I also see him, retaining things from week to week and not letting it be a case of something happens one week and then it surfaces the next week and it's new to him. You see him learning from mistakes. You see him learning from positives. You see him just maturing in his preparation process, which is, that's good to see. And it's also neat to see guys in the room helping him, the veterans in the room, guys who've been through this stuff before helping him. So he's growing as a player. He's growing as a pro. And that's probably the more important thing is him growing as a pro, because then the playing stuff will kind of follow that.
What's the balance as a coach when you changed his pass sets, and he said that, you said that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like if he's having little struggles of saying like let him do what he's comfortable with, or no, this is the right way to do this, but I want to do it. And is there a balancing act there, or?
The bigger thing that you have to look at is what you're trying to accomplish offensively, whether it be philosophically or whether it be from a schematic standpoint. And you have to make sure what you're asking the players to do fits within that realm. But you also want to make sure that you're putting the players in a position to succeed. And with him, as is any player, you just kind of have to make sure that it stays within those parameters. You can't let a guy do what they've always done or what they're comfortable with necessarily at times, because it doesn't fit within the scheme or the philosophy of what you're trying to get done. Every player, not just Evan, has had to adjust because it's a new scheme on both sides of the ball. So it's not a case of, hey, this is unique to Evan. This is a across the board. And I think what's happened is just the players, regardless of position, regardless of side of the ball, are starting to see the positives. You know what I mean? Nothing helps you as a coach like success and winning. And I think those are the things that we're dealing with, not only in my room, but in every room of, all right, we're winning. You're showing the players, here's why we've been asking you to do it this way, and here's how it's helped. Also, hey, when you don't do it that way and there's a negative, look, this is why we asked. So, like I said, he's growing every day in that, and he's growing in every phase of his game. It's good to see.
His set's been better.
Whoa.
Okay. Three at once.
Showdown.
3 at once.
All right, go ahead.
So it was kind of tied to that. So have his pass sets been, he was kind of crushing himself about his pass sets after the Cowboys game.
Yeah.
And he said, it was bad. And so has it been better, and how so?
He has improved daily in a lot of things. I think also, Evan, like I've said from the beginning, Evan's too hard on himself. Last time I checked, 2 of the guys that he had to go block were really good players, really good all-pro players. So I think for a young guy, for him to realize, hey, this is the NFL. They're going to be good players that you're going to face every week, and they're going to get you every now and again. So I think he was probably a little too hard on himself, but he's also, I've seen him improve on a lot of things since that game.
My question was going to be, we're about halfway through Nick Gates' window.
Mm-hmm.
What have you seen from Nick Gates in terms of on the field, health, picking everything up? And second part was, what's his best position?
That last question is hard to say, but just for the simple fact that, he's in his window, but there's still been some limitations on him. Got a lot of respect for Nick. What he's gone through, a lot of guys wouldn't have made it through, but he has. It's been neat to see the respect that his teammates have for him, because when he made it back, he's just trotting onto the field for his first practice back, and guys are cheering him. So that says a lot for the kid, what type of person he is on and off the field, and what an attribute he is to the team. As far as what I've seen thus far is, you see a tough kid, you see a competitor, you see a guy who's going to just constantly strain to get his job done. You see a little bit of rust, which I think that's to be expected. Once again, it's my job is to make sure that I temper him a little bit. I did this. I got it. You've been out for a while, so just let's look at what you did well. Like I said, the last question, what's his best position? I don't know that yet. Right now, I'm moving him around to try to find that out. It's still a little bit early. I think the jury's still out on that one. But to be honest with you, we look for 3 things: smart, tough, and dependable. Check, check, check. So we'll find a role for somebody who fits those 3 things.
With Dexter, he's playing a lot more nose tackle this year than he has in the past. Was that a conscious thing? Like you saw something you think that he would fit better there, or how did that come about?
No, from day one. The first day I got here, the first meeting I had with him, I told him that should be his position. When he came out, I really wanted him really bad. I thought he'd be a great nose guard in this league, and And watching him play on film here in previous years, I thought that was his home spot. And, he's bought into the technique that we're teaching him, and it's worked out well so far.
Why? Why did you think when you saw him? What was it that you saw him that you said he's a nose tackle?
He's big. He's strong. He's physical. He's got long arms. He's got range for a big guy. And so when you have those qualities and you can play in the middle of the defense and you still have the ability to make tackles on the numbers, you got a chance to be a unique guy. And so I had that with Linval Joseph in Minnesota, and he reminded me a lot of him.
I mean, that's maybe moving like 3 feet down the line. How much different is what he has to do there, same he's playing a 3 technique?
It's a whole different world. When you're playing nose, obviously you're in the middle of the formation, and you got guys on both sides of you. But you can't be overly aggressive at that position because you're right on top of the center, and he moves the ball, can go left and right because you're so close. You can be trailing all the time. And so when you play 3 technique, there's distance between you and the guard. So once the ball's snapped, you have a chance to redirect. So the longer your arms are, the faster you can get your hands on that center, it makes it easier for you to be able to do with him what you need to do within the defense. And those are the qualities that he has that helps him be a successful player.
So being closer to the line in that sense is playing to his strengths rather than him having to go a little distance to get to somebody.
No question, because he's got long arms. He can get his hands on people before they really have a chance to react. And so I think that was the biggest thing that I had to work with him on when I first got here, is to understand that these are gifts, and you never go into the game without using your gifts. And he's done an outstanding job with that so far.
I think you would think the 3 techniques would be better getting, a pass rush, and he's been much better this year getting it from that position. So what has been the key pass rush wise for him to, be so disruptive?
He's mastering the technique I teach him. That's what it comes down to. That's this game. And, you see it all the time. Guys have production in college, and they come to the NFL, and it doesn't compute. You have to learn how to rush like a professional in this league. And you could have 15, sacks in college, and you come here and it takes you may never have 15 in your whole career. Okay? But you got to learn how to rush like a professional. And he's bought into all that, and you can see it showing in the games.
I don't expect you to reveal all your trade secrets, but you're known as kind of like a technician. What do you do that unlocks these guys and helps them technique-wise specifically?
Well, the one thing I can tell you, obviously I'm not going to tell you all the tricks of the trade, but the one thing I can tell you is I'm not a cookie-cutter coach. Okay, every player in this league comes in with gifts that God gave them, and my job as the coach is to figure out what that is. Now it makes my job harder. Okay, because it'd be a lot easier for me to teach everybody the same thing, and we all do the same, rush the same way. But when I'm doing that, I'm limiting guys' opportunity to succeed. And so what I have to do is figure out what their gifts are, and what kind of player they are, and then from there, I work drills and techniques for that individual person. So Leo is going to rush different than Dexter. Justin's going to rush different than both of those guys. So the key is to get them to see that in themselves and then believe it and go with it. So everybody can't do the same thing, even though they all try, right? They all can't. And so I think that's the biggest difference, is to get them to understand who they are as a rusher and believe in that. And sometimes it's not pretty, right? They all want to do the pretty moves, because it looks good on TV, but that's not you. Okay, this is the way you succeed. And so that's the way I have to beat that into their heads and get them to understand that. And Dex and Leo, all those guys have done a great job with that so far.
So with Dex with the hands, is he doing, you tell him something different? Yeah. And
just go watch the film. Just turn the tape on. Just turn the tape on.
I'm not an interior defensive line expert.
All I'm saying is, if you turn the tape on, you see 97 doing things a little bit different than he's done since he's been here.
Gotcha.
And those are because of the things that he's learned since he's been here. And you got to give him the credit, because he submitted to my coaching, right? He could have said, I'm a starter, I've been here, I'm going to do it the way that I've always been doing it, right? But he didn't. He said, coach me. Same thing with Leo. I've been a Pro Bowl player. I could do, no, coach me. And I've been fortunate in my career that I've had quite a few guys that have been willing to listen to me, and a couple of them are wearing gold jackets.
Lane, the way those guys stepped up, could you talk about them a little bit?
Oh yeah, both guys came in and did a great job of being ready to go. Didn't get a lot of reps during the week,
right?
But again, came in and when it was their time to go, they were prepared, they were ready, and went out and executed like we needed them to execute.
I don't want to jump you.
Yeah, okay, good.
I know technically, whether he's in your room or not, Landon Collins coming back kind of stirs a little bit of emotions for people who've been here and covered him.
Mm-hmm.
Just curious, how much does he work with you guys? I know he's working with Eggs with the linebackers. What's been that scenario like? I know it's only been about a week and a couple days, but
yeah, it's been about a week, and he's been more with Eggs, as you just mentioned, getting ready to play in our dime package, and again, Wink every week is going to find a new combination to present to offenses, and he's another piece that he'll have to move around.
He's somebody that you've watched though through the years from your position, playing safety, playing in the box. Can you speak to just his skill set from what you've seen from afar and why that fits here?
It's been a while since I've studied him, I'm gonna be honest.
Sure.
And looked at his tape, and but the thing I can tell you, remember him coming out, and when I did evaluate him, he's a physical player, he's aggressive. You can see now he likes football, like he likes to study football, talk football. And having a guy like that with versatility and a coverage skill set obviously is a good thing to have on the defense.
You have a lot of experiences in the 3 years. How do you get these cornerbacks up to speed so quick? You bring a guy in and then he's playing 50 snaps on that Sunday.
Well, it's not about me. It's a credit to them that they were ready to go and came in, and both those guys that went in and played. They're always asking questions, talking to me, asking Mike Trier, asking the other players in the room, how do you play this? How do you play that? What do we communicate here, and how do you see it? And and those other the corners who have been here in the room like don't have egos about it, and they're all helping them. And so you see that relationship with the room and how they all pull each other along, and it showed in Sunday's game.
So McLeod comes in, you've been around the league, Aaron Rodgers, I think it was his first play, he goes right at it. You
Right
knew that was
at
coming, right? Like that's
right at him, and then right back at him again.
Yeah.
I thought that early on went after him, and I thought he played calm and didn't let it bother him, and just came over and just said, I got this, coach. I said, I believe in you, let's go. And he went out and played his butt off for us.
On that fourth down play, what's your reaction when you see Rodgers does a little shoulder tap and Love is jumping up doing it? Was that like a fulfilling moment as a coach that your players are locked in like that?
Like another play in that game, which was a huge play that I'm so proud of the guys for, is you look at the third down sack when they were in plus territory. If you go back and look at that snap, they gave us an empty bunch, and guys were leveled off just like their coach to be, and they executed that play in the tight coverage there. We knew that the quarterback liked to work to 18, and then when you added on top of it empty and he's at number 2, it was a high tendency, and Tony Jefferson took him away, right? And then all my guys were locked up on their guys, and then buying time and helping with the coverage, helping get the sack. And great sack by Dexter, but it was, to me, team defense. And what we're trying to build here is team defense, going out playing as a unit.
Coach, you've had Julian Love a few years now. Can you talk about the growth of this guy in the last few years?
The thing you love about Julian Love is nothing's about him. Everything's about the team. How can I help the team? We've asked him to do a bunch of different jobs, kind of the odd jobs guy,
right.
And he just goes in and excels at every job you give him.
Right.
He's such a quality person. He prepares, he studies, he cares about his teammates. When you have guys like that, they're just going to find success because they're willing to go the extra mile and do the extra thing, and they don't mind doing the dirty jobs.
I'm sorry, Jerome, I just came over, so I'm sorry if you were already asked about Moreau, but what kind of
find really has he been for you guys in terms of he came in here? I know it's kind of the new thing to sign a veteran to a practice squad, but he's now your number 2 corner, and when Adoree went out, he was your number 1 corner. And what kind of?
It's been massive for us.
Yeah.
He's done a great job. He plays with such poise and calm that I appreciate that as a secondary coach. You know, in the room, he's played a lot of footballs, played against a lot of guys, and so he has really good input and feedback and thoughts and ideas, and he shares them. He helps those other guys.
He was kind of like the missing piece, like in a way that you guys didn't have opposite Adoree.
Yeah, he's been really, really, really big for us.
Lamar, what does that do for you guys as a second? Like, I imagine if I was talking to Adoree about this yesterday, I imagine if you have your head turned, he could be running right behind you, and if you have your head turned this way, he's going to throw it over your head. What does it do as a corner specifically, Lamar?
Yeah, you know, the whole game for us, you know, we're playing against one of the best passers in the league. We're playing against one of the best runners in the league. Not many times will you go into a game and say that at the quarterback position. So great challenges for us. We got to keep our eyes on our man all game because, again, you watch those guys. They're used to playing with them. If the cornerback's in coverage and looks back and like Lamar breaks, those receivers are going the other way in a hurry. So we've been working all week in practice, just quick eyes. If I take a peek and I look and ball still in his hand, I better get my eyes back and transfer him back in a hurry, or I'm going to end up with my guy over there somewhere.
So you're saying when you peek back, those guys go downfield, basically.
Like a lot of times, and you know, playing together for so long, you can see it. They see Lamar back there, and as soon as he breaks, they go the other way. And so if my eyes are in the backfield looking at him, I'm going to lose my coverage. So it's peek, and then like go back, take a snapshot, don't take a video. Is the thought for us.
It's been an eventful couple of weeks for you with the constant quarterback changing. How's that been?
It's been good. You know, just roll with it, right? You know, it's the league we're in. Things are going to constantly change, and you just got to adapt and evolve with it. So that's what we've been doing. We'll keep doing it.
What's it? I guess what you've seen from Daniel then over the last couple of weeks, just as he's managed the injury, wanting to come back.
Yeah, he's done a great job with it. You know, he's a hard worker. You knew how he would handle it. Come in and get his stuff done, get ready to go. I think he's feeling a lot better, and that's just a testament to him and just how much he takes care of himself, not just, you know, when it happens, but, you know, prior to that. His maintenance of his body that he does all year round. So he does a good job with that.
Have you learned anything about him over just the last 2 weeks?
You know, everybody's kind of told me how tough he was and all that, and I guess you see it there, you know, with his injury. You know, he's a tough kid. Didn't say one word about it, didn't complain, which, you know, that's what you expect out of him being around him. You just knew how he would handle it. So I guess it was kind of, I didn't learn it, I just saw it for the first time for in real life.
What were your thoughts as you're kind of seeing that?
You know, just I was happy for him, you know, and proud of him. Did a great job battling through it, and you know, you earn a lot of respect for guys like that around the league. You know, been around some tough guys, and he's one of them. So you definitely respect that about them, how they're willing to go out there and play for the guys next to them, put their bodies on the line. These guys do that every week. You know, the more you see it, the more respect you have for it.
Are you guys still at the point where you're still teaching, or is it tweaking at this point?
You know, I think you're always still teaching, you're still learning, you're still tweaking. We're always trying to find ways to improve, and I think we'll continue to take that mindset each week.
Is anybody in your room who's so far standing out in this 4-1 start so far?
You know, as a group, you know, those guys have all played their part, not only on special teams, but also on first, second down, third down, and all of those things. So, you know, I think as a group, right, we've done a good job of trying to improve each week, and that's what we'll continue to do.
What are the challenges going into this week against Baltimore?
Oh, well, I mean, they pose a run there. Yeah. You know, the quarterback obviously is a unbelievable player. You know, the run game's been really good. They've got some good backs. They've also got some really good receivers too also. So they pose a lot of problems offensively. You know, it's been a challenge all week for us to as we prepare for all the things that, you know, we could see this weekend.
Sorry for coming.
No, you're good.
Wanted to ask you about Landon Collins a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody asked you yet, but obviously brand new here. You guys had him out in London, but actually on the field here with you guys. I've seen him working a little bit with you guys during positional drills.
Yeah.
When Wink says positionless, I got to imagine that you have a guy like that who can kind of bounce back and forth. What's been your dealings with Landon so far?
You know what I mean? I think Landon provides a lot of versatility. You know, he's played safety. He's also played in the box, you know what I mean? And some of the other places he's been. So he has a really, really good knowledge of both being on the back end and also being in the middle of the defense, right? And so, you know, like all of our players, we're always going to try to find the best places to be able to put them for them to be successful. He's just another tool in that toolbox that we're excited that, you know, we'll see how he does from week to week. And you know, when it's called upon, we'll be excited to see what we'll do with him.
When a veteran from another program comes in here like Landon, and you know, he's got some pelts on the wall, but also, you know, realizes this is a new start for him. As far as dealing with a guy, sitting down with him, talking about him, getting to know what makes him tick, has that been part of the process over the last week or so?
I think it is, and sometimes you undervalue what they can bring to the table. They've been in a lot of different systems. He understands like some of the things. It might not be the exact same language as he's had before, but it's like I've ran this coverage before and this thing, and so, you know, a veteran guy like him, you know, that's made some plays. I mean, he's made a lot of plays in this league, right? Really provides a lot of those things, and then, you know, from the standpoint, man, he's a pro. Like, he's come in, he's learned, he understands those things. Jalen was the same way just a few weeks ago, right? They all bring something to the table, and which has been really good for our group.
I know sometimes it's out of your realm. You just get the guy ready, and whenever someone above you tells you it's ready to go. But with veterans like that, I mean, you guys seem to accelerate the curve with Jalen. I would imagine Landon, if he can help you, you're going to look to accelerate that. What is it about? Do you put it on the player? Is it the connection that you make early on?
I think it's a group effort all around. I think if you've noticed our defense from week to week, we're gonna use the best personnel that's on the field to help us to be successful based on what we need to do to execute on defense. And so, you know, I think those guys have just bought into that. It's just a selfless defense. It's a positionless defense, you know, and that's a thing that Wink has said from the very, very beginning, right? If you're in this room, if you're sitting in these chairs, right, you got to be ready to play. And I think they've all bought into that, right? And when their name's ready to be called, they've been able to execute on the field.
Does the presence of Jalen and then also Landon speak to what Wink said about if you have a slow mic, you have a slow defense? Does that factor in the idea that these guys are bringing a different level of speed to the position that maybe you wouldn't normally expect?
I think I know one thing about our personnel department. They're going to continue to churn to find the best players that can help us win. I think that's what it comes down to.
Thank you.
Good.
Thanks. One last question about Landon, too. Are you looking for him to also, since he's a veteran in this league, also take a little bit of a leadership role with some of the younger players?
Yeah, I think right now, and I think that will come. I think, you know, Landon's been here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I think as he's starting to formulate relationships with our players in our room and start to get down how we do things right here from a culture standpoint, I think right now he's working through those things, right? But I think, you know, Landon's a guy that he's outspoken, right? He's smart. And his work ethic speaks for itself. That I think, you know, as he spends more time here, he'll have opportunity to do that.